everyone, thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Cynthia and today's video is a craft with me video, and this is also my very first video for Ruby and Pearl EXO. I am part of her design team that she just recently started, so this is very exciting for me. I'll be posting approximately just once a month, every like 4 or 5 weeks. It's not much of a difference for me, to be honest, because I just love using her prints already. So it's just really exciting to be working with her like that. And so you can see here I've created many little tags, and I just try to keep them super simple and added just a few elements, distressed them a little bit, and really kind of called it a day. I wanted this project to be something accessible, but I also am not much of a bulk crafter usually, but with our current situation, I'm just trying to use up my sewing machine as much as I can. So I decided to create these in bulk. These would be like really amazing just to add to your journals, or also like in happy mails. It's really a great thing to have on hand. So the first thing that I'm using are tags, and the tags that I'm using are nothing special. They're from Staples. You could probably find them many other places, or you could use some cardstock and cut out a tag shape. And then I'm going to be needing, of course, some printables. So these are some of the wallpaper packs. And in each pack you have like the full sheets, and then you also have a sheet that has 4 of them onto one page, so it makes them about this size. And I love working with these either to create tags or to create journaling cards just by backing them with a thicker piece of paper. And then I'm also going to be working with these little Polaroids. They're prints. And I know she has some new ones in her shop now, but I didn't have them at the time, so I'm using some of her older ones. All right, so I'm also going to be using some paper scraps that I had just laying around. You could use some book pages or any really scraps that you have laying around. Perhaps it's like other digitals or whatever you have left from other projects that you've been working on. I tried to stick to kind of neutral colors. And then I also gathered some fabrics, because I like to add that little element of texture to each of the tag. I'm going to be using my little scissors, some glue. So I'm using my glue stick and some fabric tack. And obviously I'm going to be using my sewing machine, but you don't have to. And then I'm also using some distressing ink, which is the first step. So I'm going to kind of move things out of the way, and then I'm going to be working on 3 tags today, just to kind of show you a variety of ways in this one video. So the first step is I'm going to be distressing these tags because I want them to look a little bit more vintage and a little bit grungier. So I'm just using my little distressing tool here. I really need to change out the, I don't know what you would call it, but that little thing at the end of it. I've just been trimming off the excess from it. But you can really do anything with what you've got. Before acquiring this, I was using just like an old makeup brush. So if you don't have this tool, you can absolutely do that and use some ink that you have on hand. Or you can skip this step completely as well. It's certainly not required. So I'm just gently doing it's like kind of a swipe, but kind of a dab. I'm just doing the motion that my hand feels comfortable doing, and then I'm also kind of running the leftovers onto the tag by doing some circle motions, and that's why I have that little piece of scrap book page, just so that I avoid putting some all over my desk, although my desk is looking pretty rough right now. And so I'm happy with that side. And then I'm going to do the other side as well, because I want the side that is going to be written on to also look a little bit grunged up. And then I'm just going to be speeding through the other tags since I'm doing that same step. I'm so excited to be part of this team. The other ladies that were selected are all so inspiring, so I definitely encourage you to go and check it out. We're posting every Tuesday on Instagram, so there's also a hashtag that you can follow that will kind of give you all of the posts that are made from every member of the team. And I'll have all this information listed in the description box, so if you're curious, definitely go and check that out. Alright, so now that I'm done this step, essentially I'm just going to lay down my tags and kind of decide which side I'm going to be keeping as the back side and which side I'm going to be collaging onto. Because two of these tags have like a little markings on them, I'm just going to be covering that up. And it's clearly a very forgiving type of craft. So now I'm just going to be auditioning which wallpapers that I want to use, and I think I want to use this little Polaroid. It felt very like spring-like, summer-like, and I just was in the mood for that. And then now I'm just going to select two different wallpapers to work with. had in mind that I could potentially use that that cutout piece of a playing card. I didn't end up using it, but it's okay. It helped me pick out a print to work with. And so now that I have those selected, my next step is to kind of figure out the different elements that I'm going to be adding. But first off, I want to trim the wallpaper accordingly to how it will fit onto the tag. So for this one, I'm just trying to place it, and I'm just gonna rip like two solid, solid sides. I don't know if that makes sense. Like two straight sides essentially. I do really want to see the flowers because I think those are really beautiful, and I'm gonna keep it. Essentially what I'm trying to say is I'm going to be keeping a lot of the wallpaper onto this tag. So I'm going to use my ruler to rip the edges that I don't need. And then when I apply everything that I'm applying and gluing down, I'm going to be using that bone folder that I just pulled out, and I'm going to be pressing on there. And then I'm just leaving an edge on each of the sides of the tag because I want it to I want the distressing that I did to show through. So I'm just trimming it just a little bit smaller than the width of the tag. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and rip at the top there, just so that it seems a little bit softer. And once I'm happy with that, I'm gonna move on to the next one. So with this print, I really like the depth of this wallpaper, and then, but because it's so dark, like I was thinking to use it a little bit differently. So I am gonna kind of use that one corner and just like rip more of the wallpaper and use, I guess, like a smaller piece of it, just so that the tag itself doesn't feel too deep. And then I'm going to contrast that with some vintage scraps that I have that I'm going to be adding as my next step. And I'm not trimming the Polaroid. It fits, like it's kind of poking out of the tag a little bit, but I like that. So I'm happy with what it looks like. So then my next step is to select some scraps to work with for each of the tags. So I'm gonna go and pick through my little pile of scraps that I've selected already, and I'm just gonna go ahead and kind of addition different pieces and try to see which tones of each paper kind of goes well with each of the printables that I've selected. The the way that I'm creating these is such a simple way to create a tag. You could absolutely play around with more elements. You could add little tags on there. You could add some stickers of some sort, like some floral stickers. You could also play around with some mixed media and some gesso and just add so much more to them. But I just wanted a very easy, very accessible, and kind of like beginner friendly project to do. Especially since I was making so many of them, I thought, oh my goodness, like I need to, and they can't be too difficult. So I'm also just looking here at the fabrics that I have, and I think that I want to use, like I like the tones of this fabric with this particular tag, but I think that it's too like yellowy almost for the bottom there, but I really like this piece of scrap that I have, so I'm just going to use that. That's a piece of canvas fabric, so I'm just trimming a small piece, and I'm not going to be gluing that down. I am going to be stitching it, I think. Now moving on to this piece here, I really loved the way that this printable looked, so I didn't want to cover it really, so I'm just going to use a small piece of a vintage piece of, I think this is like a mini dictionary, so I'm just going to use a little piece of that, and then at the bottom I'm going to collage 2 pieces of fabric to add some texture to it. And moving on to the last tag, again, I'm just going to be adding some different elements to it, and this one of course requires a little bit of a bigger piece, and I want to keep, like I don't want it to contrast too much with the print, and since it's a dark brown, I'm going to stick with a piece of scrap that is a little bit in the deeper deeper colors, so it's not going to be like the last one that I used that was very bright. So I like how this piece is looking. That's just a scrap from a music paper that I had coffee dyed. And so I'm still missing one element. And you can see here, this is just too bright. It just doesn't quite go. And so what I decided to do is use a piece of this paper here, and that's actually a like the cover of an old book, and like the covers that go on the hard covers, like the pocket or sleeve, I think one of the two, whatever it's called. And just the inside of it is so beautifully aged, and I actually like the coloring on both sides, but for this purpose I'm going to be using the back side of it, and it's just like a really pretty creamy tone. And so I'm just going to trim that little piece of music sheet. And then with this tag, I didn't know really what I was going to use for a textile element to it. I didn't want, like, I don't have any ribbons, or maybe I do, but I didn't seem to have any scraps of ribbons that would look really nice with it, and it just didn't feel quite right. So ultimately I decided to go with a really pretty scrap of, I'm not sure what it was, maybe like a trim of some sort, but it came in like a scrap pack of a textile that I got, I think around Christmas time, from Crafty Paper Bits. And Sarah has like amazing textiles, and I'll have her shop listed down below too, but that's often where I get some of my textiles. So yeah, I was auditioning this ribbon, but I thought that would be great for like to put through the hole. And then I had this lace that kind of went with it, but I felt like it covered the printable too much. And because I didn't have, like, I didn't keep a lot of that wallpaper, I didn't want to cover what I had left on there. So since I'm being indecisive here, I just decided to do what I do best. I just moved on. Whenever I get stuck with anything, I just don't, I try to just like move to the next step and then come back to the issue that I'm experiencing. So here I'm just gonna start gluing each of the elements in the right order onto each of the tags. And I use my little bone folder to make sure that it's adhered onto the tag really well. And I'm generous with the amount of glue that I put. now that I'm pretty much done with each of the tag, I'm going to be running them through my sewing machine and adding those pieces of fabric that I've selected for each of the tag. And I'm also going to come back and add a textile to that third tag, or well, the one with the brown. So I decided to use this little piece there. It's just really pretty. It has like these little embellishment, and I think I'll use that. So I'm going to sew around the tag, and then I'm just going to use some glue to adhere that, since I don't think my sewing machine would go through it very easily. So I just sewed around, and then I'm ready to add that with some fabric tack. And I realized when I'm looking at the video, you don't see just how pretty it is, but I'm pretty sure I have some close-ups at the end of this video. And if you're curious as well, I'll be posting some pictures on my Instagram. But that little piece of scrap is beautiful. The light is just not being picked up in this video right now, but you can kind of see here a little bit more. I don't know. So my last step, of course, is to pick out something to put through each of the holes, and I'm just going to use some different fabrics. Here I'm using a sari silk ribbon, and I'll use something different for each of the other tags, and that's pretty much it. It's very simple, kind of easy, and really easy to do many at once. You can kind of make yourself a little bit of a chain of command, well, with yourself, but I like to do like all of my distressing first, and then select all my elements, and then I glue all of the items. So I really hope that this inspired you to create some tags of your own, and I thank you so much for joining me today and for watching this video. If you liked it, please leave me a thumbs up, and I will talk to you in my next one. Thank you so much, and bye now. Thank you.